Alright, testing my mic, everything. This mask is not coming through. Let me actually see if it actually. That's not that. Oh man, it's backwards. Oh boy. Hey, here's I got that. Close up. Okay, I think I got it. Well, it's a bit terrible. Yeah, no. I got that, at least the nose. Okay. Let me more look towards the camera. I just pucker this a little bit more and everything should be good. As it should have. Alrighty. So, you guys can actually see me smiling for the first time. Not too much. I think I need to go to the dentist, but I don't want to get that infection either by the flu, COVID, or yeah, even cooties. Alrighty. So I have not forgot that we were searching last time the wiki for free running. So let me actually go here. Let me minimize it downwards here. Okay, we got that. So yeah, I never forgot about this. We talked about actually the comparison of parkour free running. But what we're gonna do, because it's tea season, not the day of Halloween, but very close to it, and people have been celebrating on Halloween for the past month because it's Spooktober. So I figured, it's not the exact day, but it's getting close to there, and it's almost the day of Halloween, just from here, hours from now. So let's see. Oh yeah, let me make sure I got everything. Okay, got it. Minimize it a bit. All right, that should be good enough. So I'll be discussing about Halloween. Hmm. So let me get this out of my brain. Okay, I am free. Alrighty. So let's just go with the overall context of just Halloween. Just going right into it. Halloween is a main topic along with the contents. First, entomology, history, symbols, trick or treating. Alrighty. So I saw the image just spring by. So for the meantime, I'm just going to put this up top. I'm going to quickly examine the pictures to see if there's anything that is misappropriate that will go against, I believe, TOS, but also just too crude and stuff. Okay, so everything is good. Let's put it back down here. Alrighty. So let's go back to the contents under Halloween. There's entomology, history, symbols, trick-or-treating costumes. What is pretty common when it comes to many wikis is usually the entomology and history. usually etymology goes first, but history tends to be on top if there's no entomology section. So, that's, in the end, there's always these see also references and external links or sources. External links and sources tend to be interchangeable. And further reading, there's not much difference, but that I could just scroll down here for a bit. Yeah, further reading just as the bibliography of Halloween. So books that talks about it. There is not much difference between the references when it comes to content wise, but format, yes. So it depends on who published it and stuff. An external link or actually hyperlinks to actually understand everything. Yeah. Go to quick source, check out what they talk about and stuff. Alright, so let's go with just Halloween. Halloween. Halloween or Halloween evening, also known as Halloween, All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Eve, is a celebration observed in many countries on 31st of October, the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day. It begins the observance of All Hallow WIKI. Let's just figure out the pronunciations for this because I have a feeling that we're gonna stumble on this. Okay. Now save word. Time at or near also. Alright. Let's check more source because most likely they all have pronunciation. Let's just go for 3 for sure. Okay, this one has it. All Halotide. Okay, so all Halotide. It's not all Tide. All Halotide. Yeah. Go back to this one. Let's see how this is pronounced. Particularly the Gallic Festival Samhain. Samhain. Let's see if that pops up more. Which may have had pagan roots. Some scholars hold that Samhain may have Christianized as All Hallows Day along with its eve by the early church. Divination? I saw that before. Just go with the quick overall. Fortune is the practice of predicting information about a person's life. So divination games, so pretty much fortune telling games. scenes, along with point pranks, visiting haunted attractions, telling scary stories, as well as watching horror films. They probably
Okay, testing. Does this microphone work? Okay, there's actually no evidence. Alright, I'll keep this on for a while. Because it still seems like even disconnecting the entire dock setup and then reconnecting everything, even the power supplies, it's still acting issues. Yeah, that's tech issues. Even everything works the entire day, even with numerous testing and even recycling the same task over and over again, it still comes with problems. My guess this has to do with not just OBS, but also streaming with using OBS. So, yeah. Sorry about that. The whole time I'm just going to be speaking the webcam. Okay. So let's go back to the whole activities from lightning bonfires, uh, fortune telling games, along with visiting haunted attractions and movies. Okay. In many parts of the world, the Christian religious observance of All Hallows Eve, including attending church services and lighting candles on the graves of the dead, remain popular, although elsewhere is a more commercial and secular celebration. Some Christians historically abstained from meat on All Hallows Eve, a tradition reflected in the eating of certain vegetarian foods on his vigil day, including apples, potato pancakes, and salt cakes. Alrighty, let me snake this out of my brain. Ugh. Now, let's go downwards to just the etymology. The word Halloween or Halloween's dates to about 1745 and is of the Christian origin. The word Halloween means Saints' Evening. It comes from the Scottish term for All Hallows Eve, the evening of All Hallows Day. In Scots, the word Eve is even, and it is contracted to een or een. Oh, or een or een. Over time, All Hallows Evening evolved to Halloween, although the phrase All Hallows is found in Old English. All Hallows Eve is itself not seen until 1556. History: Gaelic and other Celtic influence. Today's Halloween customs are thought to be influenced by folk customs and beliefs from the Celtic-speaking countries, some of what are believed to have pagan roots. Jack Santino. Okay, go check this. Everything's good so far. Might as well go with this one. This picture is actually not on the right side, but on the left side. So it must be important. An early 20th century Irish Halloween mask displayed of the Museum of Country Life. Oh, look at this mask. I don't know, it's a little cute. It looks like more of a sock pocket for your hand, like a mask. But it has this smile and this mouth, but that could just be the mustache. Let's be more creative. Alrighty. We haven't gone through this entirely. Jack Santino, a folklorist, writes that there was throughout Ireland an uneasy truce existing between customs and beliefs associated with Christianity and those associated with the religions that were Irish before Christianity arrived. Historian Nicholas Rogers explores the origin of Halloween. He notes that while some folklorists have detected its origins in the Roman feast of Pomona, I don't want to just say Pomona without being sure. But yeah, Pomona was a goddess of fruitful abundance in ancient Roman religion and myth. So it could be Pomona. Alrighty. Pomona, the goddess of fruits and seeds, or in the festival of the dead called Parentali. Parentali. Alright. Called Parentali, it is more typically linked to the Celtic festival of Samhain, which comes from the Old Irish for summer's end. Samhain, let's see the words. Yeah, actually shows a bit of language, but yeah. Samhain was the first and most important of the 4 quarter days in the medieval Celtic calendar and was celebrated on 31st October through 1st November in Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man. The Canterbury Festival was held at the same time of year by the Platonic Celts called Caungeith. Oh man, this is old English words. Irish. Caungeith in Wales, Colin Golf in Cornwall, and Colin Gonolf in Britannia. A name meaning first day of winter for the Celts. Celts. Yeah. It's not Celts, it's Celts, and they're not salts. They're not made out of salts. It's Celts. For the Celts, the day ended and began at sunset. Thus, the festival began on the evening before 7 November by modern reckoning, the half point between equinox and solstice. Samhain and Caungeith are mentioned in some of the earliest Irish and Welsh literature. The names have been used by historians to refer to Celtic Halloween customs up until the 19th century and are still the Gaelic and Welsh names for Halloween. Samhain and Caungeith mark the end of the harvest season and beginning of winter or the dark half of the year. Okay, everything is good to go. Like Belton, Romaine, it is seen as the middle time when the boundary between the world of the other world thinned. This meant that the OC. Oh man, that's a handful pronunciation. All right, OC. Skim all that. The spirits or fairies could more easily come into the world and were practically active. Most scholars see the ILC as degraded versions of ancient gods. Though whose power remained active in the people's mind even after they officially replaced by replaced by later religious beliefs. Alright, let me scroll down here. The ILC was both respected and feared, with individuals often invoking the protection of God when approaching their dwellings. At Samhain, it was believed that the ILC, let's go with that, ILC needed to be propitiated Propitiate is the act of appeasing or making well disposed a deity. That's an old word. Propitiated to ensure that the people and their livestock survive the winter. And I'm actually learning more about Old English than I did from school. Ugh, that's gonna be challenging. Offerings of food and drink or portions of the crops were left outside for Ayalse. The souls of the dead were also said to revisit their homes seeking hospitality. Places were set at dinner table. Yeah. Places were set at the dinner table and by the fire to welcome them. The belief that the souls of the dead return home on one night of the year and must be appeased seems to be ancient origins is founded in many cultures throughout the world. 19th century Ireland, candles would be lit and prayers formally offered to the souls of the dead. After this, the eating, drinking, and games would begin. Throughout Ireland and Britain, the household festivals include rituals and games intended to foretell one's future, especially regarding death and marriage. Apples and nuts were often used in the divination rituals. They included apple bobbing, nut roasting, skyring. What's that? Skyring, also known by various names as seeing or peeping, is the practice of looking into a suitable medium to the hope of detecting significant messages or visions. Such a strange activity that hmm, I don't know people actually did back then, but it's part of Halloween. Along with mirror gazing, pouring molten lead or egg whites into water, dream interpretation. Yeah, this is a concept I've heard of. It's the process of assigning meanings to dreams. So it's just dream interpretation. Interpretation. Okay, so I was looking at that wrong. Also, this image actually doesn't help with people recounting dreams, but yeah. But yeah, dream interpretation. Oh, and others. Special bonfires were lit, and there were rituals involving them. Their flames, smoke, and ashes were deemed to have protective and cleaning powers, and were also used for divination or divination. Hmm. All right. So I see is yeah, it's a form of rituals. While being playful, they also have purpose in order to honor the celebration. So that's what I do see. In some places, torches lit from the bonfire were carried sunwise around homes and fields to protect them. It suggested that the fires were the kind of imitative or sympathetic, uh, sympathetic magics. Oh, this is both one phrase. Also known as imitative magic, is the type of magic based on imitation or correspondence. So it's just imitating magic. Okay. They mimic the sun, helping the powers of growth and holding back the decay and darkness of winter. In Scotland, these bonfires and divination games were banned by the church elders in some parishes. Okay, by the church elders in some parishes. So it's not being perished, but rather out in place. So in some parishes. Alright. In Wales, bonfires were lit to prevent the souls of the dead from falling to earth. Later, these bonfires served to keep away the devil. From the least of the 16th century, the festival including mumming and goozing in Ireland. Guising, goozing. Oh, trick-or-treating. I'm seeing why this corresponds with that. Okay, cruising. Remember this. Okay, so yeah, cruising. Children go from door to door to disguise in tradition and is gift to a form of food, coins, or apples or nuts for the Halloween party. So these are the false faces. And cruising just being an activity related to trick-or-treating. That's another thing to look at. Alrighty. So let's go down here. And cruising. Oh, go back. From at least the 16th century, the festival including mummy and cruising in Ireland, Scotland, and the Isle of Man and Wales. This involves people going house to house in costume or in disguise, usually reciting verses or songs in exchange for food. It may have originally. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my cursor left side and through the pictures. This one is just a simple picture on with description. Museum of the Country Life. Oh, it looks like a bunch of these Halloween artifacts and traditions are under this museum. It looks like some other church, but then again, architecture looks strange compared to where you live in the world, or you haven't not seen in different parts of the world. So let's go with where we left off with this. Originally, it may have originally been a tradition whereby people impersonated the ILC or the souls of the dead and received offerings on their behalf. Similar to the custom of souling, see below, impersonating these beings or wearing disguise was also believed to protect oneself from them. It's suggested that the mummers and cruisers personify the old spirits of the winter who demanded reward in exchange for good fortune. In parts of southern Ireland, cruisers included a hobby horse, a man dressed as a Leabhraun white mare. Okay, so right here. I gotta highlight things that I put in the headers because, yeah, it's easy. A man dressed as a Leabhraun white mare lead youths houses to houses reciting verses. Let me just spring here. White horses has been special significance in the mythology of the cultures around the world. Okay, so this just talks about general view. Let's see if it goes to where it is. No, doesn't look like it. So that's a shame. But let's not digress. House to house, residing verses, some of which have pagan overtones in exchange for food. If the household donated food, it could expect good fortune from the monk Ole. Not doing so would bring misfortune. In Scotland, youths went house to house with masked, painted, or blackened faces, often threatening to do mischief if they were not welcome. F. Marin McNeill suggests the ancient festival included people in costume representing spirits, and that faces were marked or blackened with ashes blackened. So, now this makes me wonder. One way to also do face painting, to actually blacken their and ash their face was also these marks downward. You usually see it with modern football teams and stuff, but usually it's just to protect their eyes. Some reason actually have good vision. That's part of it. Other people say there's other reasons, it being just being part of the team along with intimidation. But yeah, maybe this is one of the methods they actually did back then to actually ash in their face. So let's go with, and their faces were marked or blackened with ashes taken from the sacred bonfire. In parts of Wales, men went about dressed as fearsome beings called Crotch Road. Oh, how do you say that? Darn it. In the late 19th and early 20th century, young people in Glamorgan and Orkney cross-dressed. Let's see. Okay, it's not one title. Just to show the flag and the location. This is not a country. This is actually part of Scotland. Along with this. So yeah. Elsewhere in Europe, mumming and hobby horses were part of other yearly festivals. However, in the Celtic-speaking regions, they were particularly appropriate to a night upon which supernatural beings were said to be abroad and could be intimidated or warded off by human wanderers. From at least the 18th century, intimidating Malganite spirits led to play pranks in Ireland and the Scottish Highlands, wearing costumes and playing pranks at Halloween's spread. Yeah, to England in the 20th century. Okay, wearing costumes and playing pranks at Halloween spread to England in the 20th century. Okay, so that will be that soon. So, traditionally, pranksters use hollowed out turnips or mango wurzels. So let's see if they actually have an image. Okay. It's a cultivated root vegetable, a sugar or red beet. So they would actually just hollow these instead of pumpkins because pumpkins were part of the New World. And it was still a bit hard to get a pumpkin or other New World goods compared to today, but I don't know how accessible it was. It could also be how many people can easily, it's more accessible to do that, which by fact that is true. It is more accessible now to get goods than it was before. Turnips or mango wurzels. I keep on saying like wargazelles. Wurzels often carved with gross grossic faces. So yeah, this is one image, and it shows it. It's scary. Actually, you actually get an idea of what they would carve out. Alright. By those who made them, the lanterns were various said to represent spirits, or were used to ward off evil spirits. They were common in parts of Ireland and the Scottish Highlands in the 19th century, as well as Somerset, see Punky Night. In the 20th century, they spread to other parts of England and became generally known as jack-o'-lanterns. So I should have the image. Surprisingly, it's the wiki image because you have the Roman W, the what is it, Greek, but I don't know what you call it, and then the Chinese character, and I believe that will be Cyrillic word for W. So these all will represent W because it has a pattern, and also good for advertisement. Doesn't make no sense to mean different words unless they're not Wikipedia. Christian influence. Today's Halloween costumes, let's just highlight this for the meantime. But for Christian influence, today's Halloween costumes are thought to have been influenced by Christian dogma and practices derived from it. Halloween is the evening before the Christian holy days of All Hallows Day, also known as All Saints or Hallowmasses. So, Hallowmas on 1st November and All Souls Day on 2nd November. So, yeah, Halloween could be celebrated from the 31st, 1st, or 2nd in many deviations of it. Excuse me. Thus, giving the holiday on 31st October the full name of All Hallows Eve, meaning the evening before All Hallows Day. But so going back to me actually talking about this in the 30th, at least now when you actually go talk to people in the day of Halloween, you can actually tell them all about this history. Not necessarily shit, but just trying to understand everything that you're trying to comprehend that you think it's shit, but it has some merit. And the more you understand it, the more or less shitty it sounds when you speak it or try to explain this one. Alrighty. Alrighty. We go through here, verse 74. Since the time of the early church, major feasts in Christianity, such as Christmas, Easter, and Pentecost, never heard that before. The Christian holiday of Pentecost, which is celebrated the fifth day after Easter Sunday, commemorates the descent of the Holy Spirit upon the apostles and all the followers of Christian Jesus Christ while they were in Jerusalem celebrating the Feast of Weeks. Okay, so this is another Christian holiday that not many people actually celebrate. So it really depends on which group you are. Had vigils and began the night before, as did the Feast of All Hallows. These 3 days were collectively called All Hallowtide and are a time of honoring the saints and praying for the recently departed souls who have yet to reach heaven. Commander for day. Okay, now I'm actually tripping this. Damn it. The water is so close. But I persist. Almost half time because it's a challenge, but I'm making through. Alrighty, so these 3 days are collectively called All Hallowtide and are a time for honoring the saints and praying for the recently departed souls who have yet to reach heaven. Commemorations of all saints and martyrs were held by several churches on various days, mostly in springtime. In 609, Pope Boniface IV rededicated. Okay, I can say Boniface, but not rededicated. So fourth dedicated the Pantheon in Rome to Saint Mary and all martyrs on 13th May. This was the same day as Lumaranth, an ancient Roman festival on the dead, and the same date the commemoration of all saints and Edesal in the time of Ephraim. So there is a lot of Christian influence involving the time of Halloween, right, inside just the Celtic and pagan traditions. So yeah, many reasons why there's a legendary history of people celebrating Halloween. The Feast of All Hallows on its current date in the Western Church may be traced to Pope Gregory III's 731 to 741, so 10 years, 731 through 741, founding of the Auditory in St. Peter's for the relics of the holy apostles and of all saints, martyrs, confessioners. Confessioners or just confessioners? Yeah, let's go for the old American English. Confessioner. In 1835, All Hallows Day was officially switched to 1st November, the same thing as Samhain. The same date as Samhain at the behest of Pope Gregory IV. Some suggest this was due to Celtic influence, while others suggest it was the Germanic idea, although it is claimed that both Germanic and Celtic-speaking people commemorate the dead at the beginning of winter. They have been seen, or this may have seen it as the most fitting to do so, as it is a time of dying in nature. Alright, so it also seems a bit more of a convenience factor depending on where they celebrate it and how they have to celebrate it. So that could probably be the change too. It is also suggested that the change was made on the practical grounds that Rome in summer could not accommodate the great number of pilgrims who flocked to it, and perhaps because of public health considerations regarding Roman fever, disease that claimed a number of lives during the sultry summers of the region. Let's briefly go here. So Roman fever is just the same form type of malaria. Wow. They have to just say Roman fever is just a common disease. It has to be Roman. Oh. Alrighty. here. Skim through. Let's read this up once we get to it. By the end of the 12th century, they had become holy days of obligation across Europe and involved such traditions of ringing church bells for the souls in purgatory. So ringing church bells for the souls of purgatory to guide them to the different dimensions, either heaven or hell, and even to the real world. In addition, it was customary for criers. So let's see, criers. A town crier, also called a bellman. Okay, so I'm pronouncing it right. It's like, yeah, you say it as crying, but this is referring to the people who actually would talk. Some people in the world still do this, so I have not seen it. It's not part of my everyday world, but this does exist. So, yeah. Okay, come on, person. Hope you're still functioning. But yeah. But I think the most common name would be just choirs would be announcers for a particular activity, a religious announcer, a news announcer. So it was customary for criers dressed in black to parade the streets, ringing a bell of mournful sound and calling on all good Christians to remember the poor souls. Souling, the custom of baking and sharing soul cakes for all Christian souls, has been suggested as the origin of trick or treating. Oh, excuse me. The custom dates back at the least as far as the 15th century and was found in parts of England, Flanders, Germany, and Austria. Alrighty. So what I'm gonna do, just to make sure that this doesn't go too loud, because I had to quickly change system settings and microphone here versus the other micro that was always been giving me issues at different settings, so I got to make sure I'm not speaking too loudly while measuring this. Alright. Groups of poor people, often children, would go door to door during All Hallowtide, collecting soul cakes in exchange for praying for the dead, especially the souls of the givers' friends and relatives. Soul cakes would also be offered for the souls themselves to eat, or the soldiers would act as their representatives. Okay, so good. As with the Lenten tradition of hot cross buns, All Hallowtide soul cakes were often marked with a cross, indicating that they were baking as alms. Okay. Almgiving. Shakespeare mentions souling. We know about Shakespeare, the general idea. I could cover that some other day. But yeah, Shakespeare mentions solely in the comedy The Two Gentlemen of Verona, 1593, on the custom of wearing costumes. Christian minister Prince Solri Quantel wrote, "It was traditionally believed that the souls of the departed wandered the earth into All Saints' Day and All Hallows' Eve, provided one last chance for the dead to gain vengeance on their enemies before moving to the next world. In order to avoid being recognized by any soul that might be seeking such vengeance, people would don masks and costumes to disguise their selves, their identities. People would don masks or costumes to disguise their identities. In this case, it would be a smile. Not smile, smiling. It is claimed that in the medieval ages, churches that were too poor to display the relics of martyred saints at All Hallowtide let parishioners dressed up as saints instead. Some Christians continue to observe this custom at Halloween today. Leslie Bonatine. Oh my god. Banana Teen. Banana. Teen. Okay, Leslie believes that it could have been a crystallization of the early pagan custom, while Solin, Christians could carry with them lanterns made of hollowed out turnips. It has been suggested that the carved jack-o'-lantern, a popular symbol of Halloween, originally represent the souls of the dead. On Halloween in medieval Europe, fire served a dual purpose, being lit to guide returning souls to the homes of their families, as well as the relic demons from daunting serene Christian folk. Households in Austria, England, Ireland, and often had candles burning in every room to guide the souls back to visit their earthly homes. They're also known as soul lights. Many Christians in mainland Europe, especially in France, believe that once a year in Halloween, the dead of the churchyards rose for one wild, hideous carnival known as the Danse Macbri, also known as Danse Macbri, which has often been depicted in church decoration. Christopher Alman Rosemond McKitterick. Oh, man. Okay, Christopher Allman and Rosemond McKitterick write the New Cambridge Medieval History that Christians were moved by the sight of the infant Jesus playing on the mother's knee. Their hearts were touched by the piety. The patron saints reassured that their presence, but all while the Dance McRee urged that, or no, the Dance McRee urged them not to forget at the end of all earthly things. This dance McRee were enacted at village paganites. So paganites. All right. Was enacted at village paganites at court miskies. Oh man, I'm not doing good here either, but that's part of my week so far. With people dressing up as corpses from various strata of society, and may have been the origin of modern day Halloween costumes. In the parts of Britain, these customs come under attack during the Reformation. At some. Alright, let me pronounce this. During the Reformation, at some Protestants betrayed or berated purgatory as a popish doctrine compatible with their notion of predestination. Thus, for the non-conformist Protestants, the theological of All Hallows Eve was redefined. Without the doctrine of purgatory, or not purgatory, without the doctrine of purgatory, the returning souls cannot be journeying from purgatory on their way to heaven, as Catholics frequently believe and assert. Okay, let me practice with purgatory. Got it. Instead, the so-called ghosts are thought to be and actually evil spirits. As such, they are threatening. Other Protestants maintain belief in the intermediate state, known as Hades, Bosom, or Abraham, and they continue to observe the original customs, especially soling, candlelit processions, and the ringing of church bells in the memory of the dead. Mark Donnelly, a professor of medieval archaeology and historian Danielle Lee, with regard to the evil spirits on Halloween, write that barns and homes were blessed to protect people and livestock from the effect of witches who were believed to accompany the Malgonite spirits as they traveled the earth. In the 19th century, in some rural parts of England, families gathered on hills on the night of All Hallows Eve. Once held a bunch of burning straw on a pitchfork while the rest knelt around him in a circle, praying for their souls or for the souls of relatives and friends until the flames went out. This was known as Tinalay. Other customs included the Tyndall fires in Derbyshire and all-night vigil for the souls. Let me move this mouse. It's moving. Yeah, it's moving a bit. Shoot. Yeah. Let's just turn it back on. Turn it back on. As you can see here. Oh man. Don't worry. I remember where we sort of left off. I remember because there's this picture. Do 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 do. And medieval archaeology has played the company of. We got to the pitchfork along with the relatives. Other customs included the Tyndall fires in Derbyshire and all-night vigil bonfires in Hertfordshire, which were lit to pray for the departed. The rising popularity of Guy Fawkes Night, 5th November from 1605 onward, saw many Halloween traditions appropriated by that holiday instead. The Halloween popularity waned in Britain with the noteworthy exception of Scotland. There in Ireland, they have been celebrating Samhain and Halloween since at least the early Middle Ages. And the Scottish Kirk took a more pragmatic approach in Halloween, seen as an important to the life cycle and rites of passage of communities and thus ensuring the survival in the country. So from early Middle Ages, France, French. In France, some Christian families on the night of All Hallows Eve prayed beside the graves of their loved ones, sending down dishes full of milk for them on Halloween. In Italy, some families left a large meal out for ghosts of their past relatives before they departed for church services. In Spain, on the night special, pastries are baked, known as bones of the holy. For Spanish, is Jesús de Santo, and put them on the graves of the churchyard, a practice that continues to this day. So, I mean, for the France thing, it'll suck if the ghost is lactose intolerant. You'll get terrible gases. That sucks. Alright, we're going back to this picture. On All Hallows Eve, Christians in some parts of the world visit cemeteries to pray and place flowers and candles on the graves of their loved ones. The top photo shows Bangladesh Christians lighting candles on the headstone of the relative, while the bottom photograph shows Lutheran Christians praying and lighting candles in front of the central crucifix of the graveyard. So it does look like when it came to the Lutheran Christians, this is more of the Western world. Not sure if it's directly in the Americas, along with in Bangladesh. It's pretty much the part of the Central Asia. Since Bangladesh is between India and Thailand. I believe there's also other countries like Myanmar, but I don't remember that exactly. Well, yeah, time is almost up, so let me just skim through a bit of it to see what else I have. Just more spread of North America. This goes with symbols, trick-or-treating, bruising. Okay, let's just go with the spread of America since it's short. Spread of America. Leslie Bonatine and Sydney Alt write the. Oh man, the whole time I just been spending just trying to pronounce these words correctly. Yeah. I mean, that's the challenge. You'll come upon words and phrases you don't even saw in your daily life, and you have to learn how to pronounce it uh, in front of in public, and trying your darndest try to say it out loud. But that's the challenge. That the Gallican colonists in the southern United States and Catholic colonists in Maryland recognized All Hallows Eve in their church calendars, although the Puritans of New England maintained strong opposition to the holiday, along with other traditional celebrations of the established church, including Christmas. Almanacs of the late 18th and early 19th century give no indication that Halloween was widely celebrated in North America. It was not until mass Irish and Scottish immigration in the 19th century that Halloween became a major holiday in America. Confined to the immigrant communities during the mid 19th century, it was gradually assimilated into mainstream society and is celebrated coast to coast by people of all social, racial, and religious backgrounds by the first decade of the 20th century. In Cajun areas, non nocturnal mass was said in cemeteries on the Halloween night. Okay, so it's not going to explain. So Cajun areas, this is referring to uh, the customs in some Caribbean areas, along with the southern U.S., because you have New Orleans, part of Florida, Georgia, uh, having those communities. Uh, so not just Cajun customs, but also Haitian Creole customs too. So yeah. You also got to the practice of voodoo witchcraft, which I believe they should discuss a bit more of it. It would be a shame if they don't, but we'll see next time. In the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. In Cajun areas, a nocturnal mass was said in cemeteries on Halloween night. Candles that had been blessed were placed on graves, and families sometimes spent the entire night at the gravesite. The earlier Greenwich Village Halloween parade was begun in 1974 by puppeteer and mask maker Rolf Lee on Greenwich Village. It is the world's largest Halloween parade and America's only major nighttime parade, attracting more than 60 costume participants, 2 million spectators, and a worldwide open audience. So this is what it is. I don't know, Greenwich Halloween parade in Manhattan. So yeah, up in Manhattan. It's something exciting to go. Next year though, I'll definitely tell my family and others. But yeah, let's just go scroll down here quickly. So pretty much, what we got is let's go back to content. We just been going with 1 and 2. There's still more, especially with number 10. Oh man. Alright. So let's just scroll here just to get an idea what it's gonna be like. Alright, so symbols, you got 2 pictures here, then trick-or-treating guising, 2 to 3 pictures here, along with this terrifying thing, 1928. Man, Halloween pictures of kids celebrating um, back in vintage old days, they're really scary costumes. I'll see. Even the pictures terrify me. Alrighty. Along with the game's activities, we discussed a bit about that along with all haunted attractions. And then, you have the foods due to a common thing in the Americas. I wonder if anywhere else it started customary. And then we go to the whole Christian thing where they talk about it. A lot of history and explorations around the world across South. So yeah, we'll get to that. But anyway, it should not be too hard compared to me talking about history, because you have a lot of phrases, a lot of words, a lot of things that are not normal to us. So me trying to actually read it out, but also understanding it It takes some time because I gotta understand how they view this celebration in their world, their time period. So, compared to food and stuff like that and symbols, I could just say, oh, skull, mummy, Frankenstein, turnip. That's common. So, yeah, shouldn't be an issue. Besides that, that's where I left off. Finish 2, we're on to symbols. Well, it's been swell. Anybody there? Take care. I'll see you the next time. It's gonna be interesting because it's gonna be the weekend of Halloween. So we'll see how people are celebrating this festival. And besides that, catch you next time.